Texas investigates parents over care for transgender youth, suit says. So, last week, it came out that Texas's Attorney General is basically reinterpreting state law. So again, nothing new needs to be passed here. This is just the state reinterpreting, making things up in state law, declaring all trans kids to be victims of child abuse. And what they're trying to do is take away people's kids because they're trans. This is a genocide, folks. This is literally in no way, shape, or form any different at all than Nazi Germany. The way that this works is if you know a trans kid, you have to report them. Doesn't that sound familiar? If you don't report them and you know that they were there and the investigators find out that you were harboring them as a fugitive, guess what? You also get charged for child abuse. This is literally Nazi Germany. And again, I'm not saying that as a joke or a meme or anything. That's what this is. And there's already, again, the first victims here. So, let's read. Houston, Texas officials have begun investigating parents of transgender adolescents for possible child abuse, according to a lawsuit filed on Tuesday, after Greg Abbott directed them last week to handle certain medical treatments as possible crimes. Possible crimes. The investigations by the state's Department of Family and Protective Services, which have not been previously reported, were started in response to an order from Mr. Abbott to the agency, the lawsuit says. Now, the order classifies circumcision as child abuse. It says that any modification of otherwise healthy body parts constitutes child abuse. Now, first of all, there's no 12-year-olds getting sex change surgeries. That's not happening. Anyone who thinks that's happening is an idiot. Second of all, again, circumcision is the forceful removal of a child's dick because you believe in a sky god and or you're too lazy to teach your kid how to take a shower. But guess what? It doesn't matter what the law says. It matters what the cops do. Are the cops going to arrest people for child abuse, for getting their children circumcised? No, so it doesn't matter. But what they are going to do is go after trans kids because the cops are fascists and they're Nazis. It's that simple. They're Nazis. No ifs, no ands, no buts. The order followed a non-binding opinion by the Texas Attorney General, Ken Paxton, that parents who provide their transgender teenagers with puberty-suppressing drugs or other medically accepted treatments, which doctors describe as gender-affirming care, could be investigated for child abuse. Among the first to be investigated was an employee of the State Protective Service Agency who has a 16-year-old transgender child. On Tuesday, the American Civil Liberties Union of Texas and Lambda Legal went out to state court in Austin to try to stop the inquiry. The employee, who is not named in the court filing, works on the review of reports of abuse and neglect. She was placed on administrative leave. So someone who is otherwise actually investigating child abuse was removed from her job because they made up a fake version of child abuse to pretend that she's abusing her child. So someone who's actually doing their job can no longer do their job, which means there's a higher likelihood of actual child abuse happening and being unable to be helped. Like, see this. That's the thing is, it's for the kids. We got to think of the children. Oh, where's the children? We got to think of the children. Oh, the children. And then while they do this, what they're pretending it is that they're caring about is actually becoming more of a problem. It really reminds me of when the QAnon thing started happening, right? They started accusing everyone to the left of Hillary Clinton of being a pedophile. What that actually did was it made tracking down child sex trafficking and pedophilia more difficult. It made it more difficult because there are so many fake reports. Oh, Hillary Clinton. Oh, the Democrats. So many people, because they believed in QAnon conspiracy theories, were hogging up the lines, and the people actually, investigating child sex trafficking had a harder job. More people got away with sex trafficking kids because of these conspiracy theories. So again, it's very similar to that. More kids are going to end up being abused more often because the agency is too busy with their conspiracy theories about trans people. Anyone involved with this needs to go to jail for the rest of their life. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Go the fuck to prison. If you are trying to be a Nazi in the year 2022, you need to go to jail. Just like Putin needs to go to jail because he's a Nazi, Greg Abbott is also a Nazi. These are fascists. Again, folks, there's a reason why the Republican Party is so in bed with the Russian government at this point. They're in massive support of Putin, and it's because they're fascists. Fascists see each other all across the globe, and they wink and nod at each other. This is fascism here in the United States. Again, if you have a trans child, you are harboring a fugitive, and you're child abuse. That is child abuse. If you know a trans child, you are mandated to report that to the government. Otherwise, you are, again, harboring a trans person. This is an attempted genocide. We are terrified for Mary's health and well-being, and for our family, wrote the employee in a declaration filed with the suit in which she and her husband are identified as Jane and John Doe. I feel betrayed by my state and the agency for whom I work. She added, not providing Mary with the medically necessary health care that she needs is not an option for us. According to the lawsuit, the state's investigator told parents that the only allegation against them was that their transgender daughter might have been provided with gender-affirming care and was currently transitioning from male to female. So the only evidence is something might happen, or something might be happening. That's their evidence. That's not evidence. That's nothing. That's like you have like an opinion. That's like you have a guess. Like, yeah, the moon might fall into Lake Michigan. It's possible. So, therefore, it happened. What? You know, it's like, I don't... Neither a spokeswoman for the State Protective Agency nor the governor's office responded to a request for comment. It was not clear if Mr. Abbott's order would survive judicial scrutiny. The order does not change Texas law, and several county attorneys and district attorneys have said that they would not prosecute families for child abuse under the new definition. Still, the directive by Mr. Abbott has had a chilling effect, and the ramifications on the redefinitions are significant. Again, it's all about fascism. It's all about making people hate trans people, and it's all about literally enacting a genocide. Because again, imagine the amount of people that are going to see this kind of stuff and kill themselves because of it. I'd be shocked if that already hasn't happened. Again, it's just othering trans people, trying to get them to kill themselves, trying to prevent them from existing. This is the same thing that Nazis did in the 1920s and 30s. There were significant amounts of research going on in Europe in regards to transgender people in the early 20th century. When Hitler rose to power, one of the first things that he did was to orchestrate book burnings. The right loves to talk about book burnings. But what books were they burning? What books were the Nazis burning? They were burning medical and scientific journals on transgender people, erasing our history. And now the modern day fascists are still operating in that worldview. They're trying to burn down the history of transgender people, hide the history of transgender people, and try to make transgender people the enemy. Why? What? It's because they are fascists. They love the idea of killing people without having to deal with the consequences. They want to legislate the death and genocide and murder of people that they don't like. And they do the same thing with all kinds of minorities. It's not just trans people. This is just, we're talking about a trans-specific story. I don't know what to tell you. But either way, people are already getting attacked for this. And you can read the rest of this article. It talks more about protesting. It talks about the bills, what to do, and how people are reacting to it. It talks about trans issues. But if you're watching my show, you should be well educated on that stuff already. But again, folks, I don't know what to tell you, but it's not good. If you live in Texas, I would recommend getting the fuck out if you can. And if you can't, buy a gun. That's all I got to tell you.